All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, and
At one Marcus Flowers.
we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.
So, welcome back. My fault. Welcome back. This is first thing of Corona. I took it back to 2012, 2011, 2013. Basically, I took it back. If you don't know who this is by now, I am one of your hosts, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka Flo's My Hero, that was one of my first handles in social media when it came to like Twitter and Instagram.
MySpace.
I don't know.
That's how old this guy is. He was on MySpace.
I was on MySpace, but it wasn't Flo's My Hero back then. But just for, I don't want to call it branding purposes, but to be more aligned with myself as a person, I decided to change my name from at one Marcus Flowers back to Flo's My Hero. We'll probably get into the reason later this month. But anyway, I am at Flo's My Hero, aka Flo, aka call me what you want. Just don't call me lazy. And I am joined by...
Y'all know who it is. He who shall not be named. Metro Meta, your boy Morgan Flowers.
And if you don't know right now, if you clicked on the title, you know you are listening to the Super Flow Bros podcast, Volume 3, Episode 27.
The people were waiting for it.
So, I don't want to say... I just want to, if you've been rocking with us, I want to appreciate you all for downloading and listening to our shows. I know we haven't been as consistent as we should be. We are working on that. Hopefully we will be on this schedule coming up. So, but yeah, if you've listened to the Super Flow Bros podcast before, you know that normally this is a very topical podcast. We talk about issues such as like current events, technology, news, politics, all of that. But basically everything has been circulating around this one topic. And so if you don't know what that topic is, it's coronavirus, aka
the
COVID-19, aka the Rona. So just before we really get in, how you feeling, Morgan?
Pretty good. I was built for this quarantine life, I'd actually like to get out less than I actually do. So yeah.
Has anybody been affected by COVID-19 or the /coronavirus yet?
No, not really.
So I will say it's kind of like crazy that this is all happening. Like I didn't take it as serious probably as I should up until like April, but I will say back in March, because on our last podcast we talked about how some of those like younger people were being irresponsible and not caring about people, but I actually did not know that I was one of those young people. Mm-hmm. So it was crazy because I was
out here spreading the Rona.
I was at my church and I came in contact with a person who actually tested positive for COVID-19. This was back in like, I want to say March 19th. So, and it was like crazy what I did that day. So it's just like, it was like the last date the city was like open still. So what I did was, I went to church that Saturday morning. I was helping cleaning it out. I came in contact with the person with COVID-19. After that, I went downtown, hung out with my friends for St. Patrick's Day. Then a week later, I got on an airplane, flew across the nation to North Carolina to drive my brother back from NCA&T, and we drove through North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, and Kansas, and finally Colorado. So I was basically being out here reckless. And by the time I finally realized, I was like, dang, I may have actually been asymptomatic and been spreading it to people So everybody I came in contact with, I hit up like my girlfriend. I was like, "Yo, how you feeling? You good? You good?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm cool." And I was like, "All right, well, came in contact with the person who had corona, and then you picked me up from the airport. So shout out to you. How's your family? Everybody good?" She was like, "Yeah, cool."
I offered to pick you up from the airport.
I hit my friends up in the group chat and was like, "Yo, everybody straight?" I ain't, cause if they listen, they'll know that I came in contact with the person who had COVID-19. But I was like, you know what? I'm just like, yo, everybody straight, everybody good. Like y'all's family, I was like, yo, we good. Everything is well. So yeah, no, that is about it. But just moving on a little bit. Morgan, what new trends? Well, first of all, have you been noticing how people are just bored out of their mind?
I mean, yeah. There's a lot of that going around. We'll talk about this more in the next podcast, but like, just seeing how people are just applying themselves or what they're doing to while they're in quarantine has been interesting. Seen a lot of people like redoing their houses and stuff like that.
So, but have you noticed online how everybody's like, I'm bored. I can't wait to go outside. Now, Morgan, I know you don't necessarily enjoy going outside, but have you been learning a new task or a new trade or a new skill during this quarantine?
No, actually not. I've dabbled a little bit in coding, learning in Python, but not really. Like, I'm not good at it heavily. I ran into a bug in one of my programs and I haven't gotten back for it in like a week.
Okay.
But nah, I'm mostly just chilling. I gotta get to work more on my schoolwork, but that's it.
Okay. I will say what I've been really working on is my graphic design, being a better content creator through like graphics. I know a lot of times we go through like Canvas and other free applications that give you the tools to create content on the fly, but however that's good, I always want to know how they came up with that formula. So I've been learning graphic design more. I just downloaded Final Cut Pro, the trial, so I'm really excited for that. I actually took a master class on Photoshop. It was only like $99, but my job paid for it. So yeah, I've really been focusing on being a better content creator through like graphic imaging and just graphics and learning like blending and making sure I really know like when it comes to like Adobe Creative Suite and Photoshop and Audition and like Premiere Pro, and now I'm venturing off into like Final Cut Pro. So hopefully I can come out of this quarantine with the new skills so that I was like a little bit under average when it came to just graphic design, but I want to leave this quarantine super advanced when it comes to just like everything Adobe Creative Suite.
So I changed over to Adobe.
Okay.
Because remember, I was using Filmora, which was a bit of an easier.
Right.
And I've been having, like, I'm not going to lie, when the few videos I have worked on, I don't think there's any up on the channel, but I have tried to make a few videos. It has been a bit of a adjustment. I do miss Filmora every once in a while. So I'm debating whether or not I'm going to go back to Filmora, but it does have a lot more tools in it if you can use them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I will say, as a person who's always used Adobe Creative Suite, such as like Photoshop and Premiere Pro, I will say it's easier the more you use it. And it's actually crazy because my first internship after college, I was at a radio station and they had me doing Pro Tools and they taught me Pro Tools like that. And it was really Pro Tools that really got me into Premiere Pro because it's a very similar layout, and although Pro Tools was audio and Premiere Pro was visual, the editing styles was very similar, and just gaining just like more knowledge when it comes to like Photoshop and things like that.
Yeah. But let's get into the topics. Normally we break it up into like we have the front porch, living room.
Yeah, I already said that. If you're paying attention,
I know one was paying.
Yeah,
you didn't say how we.
I did.
Up.
Yes, I did.
People, go back in the comments and tell us did Marcus do
Yes,
it.
I did say that.
But let's get into our first. Let's get into our basically our last topic. United States is selfish. So
before we jump into that, I will say, just for the coronavirus update, the United States has officially passed 1 million positive cases of COVID-19. We are at 60,000 deaths from COVID-19. Everybody plays a part in the blame. We blame the leaders up top for not working hard enough to stop it and not doing enough to curtail it and not implementing enough tests. We have to blame the people for going outside. We have to blame those other people for marching up into state capitals and demanding that they can get a haircut. And actually, I didn't. Do you know? Did you see that TikTok about the? There was a woman who broke down a lady who was holding a "I need a haircut" sign, and it was like this person, and they broke it down like the length, and it turned to find out she didn't get a haircut since last October. And so it's just like, yo, people are wilding. People are going up to state capitals with AKs
guns and walking out safe and sound.
And they've been like bossing the cops around, and that kind of just makes me uneasy, just from like as a black man, because it's like, what's the point of the police?
Yeah,
like all they do is harass black people and fear for their lives. Like literally, when white people I don't want to call white people, but when others are literally pushing and kicking at them and screaming, saying, let us out, and they are just, calm down. It's like, okay, if that was a black person, you definitely would have shot them. You would have shot them before they even got to the Capitol. And it's crazy because I was watching a video today it was in Sacramento, and a woman was like pushing at the cops with her gun. And they were like, calm down, miss, calm down. And somebody commented, this is the same state that killed Stephon Clark for having a cell phone out in his grandmother's backyard. So it's just like, when we have issues like this, it's like, okay, how can we sit here? How can we trust law enforcement when all they do is harass black people? Like, have you heard of any arrests?
I think they have been arrested. I do think some people have been
arrested. I haven't heard any. But just when it comes to like people are just like storming, it's just like, what's the point of the police?
I mean, they're not doing anything to stop it. And I think the way they're trying to rationalize it is if they go and they start shooting or harassing, they're going to be seen as like, oh, we're the dictators or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, that's what you guys do. You're the police. You have a job to do. Do it.
Yeah, and it just feels like the problem with like the police and like they're dealing with others is that they still see them as like individuals who can show remorse and who can turn their ways. When it comes to just like black people, it's like, oh, they're guilty. They're always gonna be guilty. They were guilty when they were born. They're guilty at birth. They're guilty as teenagers. They're guilty as adults. Let's just handle it because they're never going to change. And it really even comes down to like...
But when you look at those videos, you can tell that the police officers probably agree with that crowd to a certain extent. They're not wearing masks.
And I've seen some with masks too.
Some have masks, but they've seen massive crowds. And if I'm in charge of police officers, and we are trying to stop a deadly disease from going around the country, going around the state, you want them always wearing masks. Because police officers, they come in contact with hundreds of people. They drive all around the state. And now they're standing in front of a massive crowd of people.
Yeah, no. And I will say it's just... it goes to the... you talk about the United States is selfish. I guess we'll just lead into that. And it really shows how we don't necessarily care about things until they happen to us.
Yeah.
Like we don't like just like as the United States, just as without separating it into like racial divides or class divides. We don't necessarily care about what's important until it happens to us.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that now. It's just like when those people are who are protesting, it's like, okay, you're gonna protest now, but what happens when you go back to your grandmother, or you go back to your mother who's older, and you give them COVID-19, and then you're gonna be like, oh, thank the healthcare workers. Even just like there was this story of a young woman in Tennessee who went to like a birthday party, and then she went to like another just regular party in Nashville, and after that she caught COVID-19, and somebody else close to her caught COVID-19, and she was like, oh, y'all, I was wrong, take this serious. And it's like, you should have always been taking it serious. And I think, and it's a lot of like first world problems that we're experiencing. It's just like people are just like,
it's a lot of people being ungrateful. Like, I saw this on Twitter where it was like some nurses, they were doing a TikTok dance, but they do that all the time,
right?
And this guy reposted up the video with the comment, we asked for our economy back, and then it was like them dancing. Like, he's upset that they're not spending every waking hours of their lives trying to fix this coronavirus so that he can get back to making money. Like,
right. And it's just like, I've seen like, there was a post that talked about like how this person's grandmother passed away from COVID-19, and the person commented like, oh, well, my grandfather had like lung cancer and he died, and my grandmother had this kind of cancer and she died, and my like uncle died of this, but we didn't close the economy for it. And it's just like people suck. Like,
yeah, people
in general, like people are literally the worst. And
stay inside. There's nobody and nothing good outside. Just stay inside.
And the thing is, I think what's worse is that we're in this era where we have screens in front of us 24/7, but people aren't and we have like instant access to the internet, but people aren't necessarily taking advantage of this. I don't want to call it downtime because it's not of this. I don't want to say people aren't taking advantage or using their skills to the most during this pandemic. Like, when you, like, I know there's a lot of people who are out of a job, who are wondering where their next meal will come from, who are worried about like paying the rent or paying the mortgage, and it's just like, yo, use this time. I know you want to go outside, but use this time to like learn a trade, learn a skill, so that you can further apply yourself when this is over, so that you can be ahead, and God forbid if something like this happens again, you can be better prepared for it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about like learning skills or whatever, there's very few, like, you can try to teach yourself a skill. It's going to be very hard without like resources or money. Well,
there's free, you can go on YouTube right now and learn whatever. But I will say a lot of it is just harder as you grow as just like a human. Like, it's easier for you to learn something as a child because you're still like naive and you still have like a worldview, like everything's good and you have a lot to learn. But as you like get older, you're just like, my way is the only way, and I know this way is gonna work. And so when you're learning something and you don't get it right away, you're gonna get frustrated and you're eventually going to stop. But that's not the way you should look at it. You're like, okay, this is just a challenge that I have, but I can overcome it. Such as like you with your coding and you haven't did it for a week. It's just like, okay, that's you just like as an adult. You're like, okay, why would I want to go back and do something that I can't get the first time? Like, that's you having to like lower your ego and just be like, yo, I'm gonna get this right.
Yeah, but like, this is also, I think this is a good time just because our country in general has very bad, like, when it comes to mental health. We have a strong work ethic, but I think that work ethic more in line detriments ourselves. Because we have, as a country, we have this notion that you work for, and you see this a lot with the older generation, you work for a certain amount of time and you expect a certain amount of respect from like your job and your corporation or whatever. They don't care about you. Like, they really don't care about you. We've seen it now with how easily they just laid off people because they don't have the money for them anymore. So, like, just putting your corporation or your job in front of, like, mental health or whatever, just don't. Because they don't care about you. It's not going to matter.
Right. And I will say your mental health always comes first before anything. I know that's kind of hard to hear right now, but it's just like, if you're not good mentally, you're not gonna be good anywhere else in your life. So even when this pandemic ends and you're like, you're basically gonna be dealing with PTSD because you didn't deal with the issues that you had currently the right way. So you're going to be like, okay, this is going wrong, and this is going wrong, and this is going wrong. Instead, you should be like, I personally can't tell you how you should feel, but it's just like you need to handle your mental health in a way that you seem fit. And I will say you need to, just for me, not to lean so hard on your vices. Like that's kind of like the main thing I've been trying to I've been trying not to do, because like I like to drink a lot, but I'm like chilling because it's like, okay, if I drink now, I'm probably gonna be like binge watching, and then I'm on like a strict schedule with just like working out still and like going outside and just like walking around and running. It's just like I have to be on a strict schedule, so I know if I like drink, I'm like, yo, it's just gonna throw me off. So just keeping yourself safe.
Yep.
But that's about it. Grand opening, grand closing, Morgan. That's all you.
I don't know. What should I do it on?
I don't know.
I have been watching this new show. I haven't finished it yet. Normally, if I'm talking about grand opening, grand closing, I want to finish it first just so I know if it's pretty good. If you like shonen anime, let me see if I can find it. It's on Amazon. Go to my stuff. It's called Kakaraki Circus. It's really good. It's sort of like a puppet shonen anime, and I've always been a fan of puppet combat, and it actually has a pretty in-depth and deeper story than I thought it was gonna go for, and I've been liking it really so far.
Okay, do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Okay, thank you for listening to this edition of the Super Flow Bros podcast. Once again, I am your host at Flow's My Hero, aka Flow, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy, joined by Metro Meta 26. Make sure you follow me on all socials at Flow's My Hero. Make sure you follow Meta at Metro 26. Like us on Facebook at 26 in Glencoe Media Network. Like us on Instagram at 26 in Glencoe. Like us on Twitter at 26 in G. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube at 26 in Glencoe Media Network.
And leave a comment and review wherever you see our comment.
And we're really going to be ramping up the content for this year. So make sure you stay tuned. Until next time, peace.
All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta and
At One Marcus Flowers.
And we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe. Subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 in Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.